He had shown himself to be a worthy opponent in battle. Bluestar approached Rusty and placed the shredded collar on the ground in front of him. She touched his ear gently with her nose. "You look like a brand of fire in this sunlight," she murmured. Her eyes flashed briefly, as if her words had more meaning for her than Rusty knew. "You fought well." Then she turned to the clan and announced, "From this day forward, until he has earned his warrior name, this apprentice will be called Firepaw, in honor of his flame-colored coat." She stepped back and, with the other cats, waited silently for his next move. Without hesitating, Rusty turned and kicked dust and grass over his collar as though burying his dirt. Longtail growled and limped out of the clearing toward the fern-shaded corner. The cats split into groups, murmuring to each other excitedly. "Hey, Firepaw!" Rusty heard Graypaw's friendly voice behind him. Firepaw! A thrill of pride surged through him at the sound of his new name. He turned to greet the gray apprentice with a welcoming sniff. "Great fight, Firepaw," mewed Graypaw. "Especially for a kitty pet. Longtail is a warrior, although he only finished his training 2 moons ago. That scar you left on his ear won't let him forget you in a hurry. You spoiled his good looks, that's for sure." "Thanks, Graypaw," Firepaw replied. "He put up quite a fight, though." He licked his front paw and began to wipe clean the deep scratch that stung above his eye. As he washed, he heard his new name again, echoing among the mews of the cats. "Firepaw!" "Hey, Firepaw!" "Welcome, young Firepaw." Firepaw closed his eyes for a moment and let the voices wash over him. "Good name, too," Graypaw mewed approvingly, jolting him awake. Firepaw looked around. "Where did Longtail creep off to?" "I think he was headed toward Spotted Leaf's den." Graypaw tipped his head toward the fern-enclosed corner Longtail had disappeared into. "She's our medicine cat. Not bad looking either. Younger and a lot prettier than most." A low yowl next to the 2 cats stopped Graypaw mid-speech. They both turned, and Firepaw recognized the powerful gray tabby cat who had sat behind Graypaw earlier. "Darkstripe," mewed Graypaw, dipping his head respectfully. The sleek Tom looked at Firepaw for a moment. "Lucky your collar snapped when it did. Longtail is a young warrior, but I can't imagine him being beaten by a kitty pet." He spat the word kitty pet scornfully, then turned and stalked off. "Now Darkstripe," Graypaw hissed to Firepaw under his breath, "is neither young nor pretty." Firepaw was about to agree with his new friend when he was interrupted by a warning yowl from an old gray cat sitting at the edge of the clearing. "Small here smells trouble," Graypaw meowed, immediately alert. Firepaw barely had time to look around before a young cat crashed through the bushes and into the camp. He was skinny and, apart from the white tip of his long, thin tail, jet black from head to toe. Graypaw gasped, "That's Ravenpaw! Why is he alone? Where's Tigerclaw?" Firepaw looked at Ravenpaw, staggering across the floor of the clearing. He was panting heavily. His coat was ruffled and dusty, and his eyes were wild with fear. "Who are Ravenpaw and Tigerclaw?" Firepaw whispered to Graypaw, as several other cats raced past him to greet the new arrival. "Ravenpaw's an apprentice. Tigerclaw's his mentor," Graypaw exclaimed quickly. "Ravenpaw went out with Tigerclaw and Redtail at sunrise on a mission against RiverClan, the lucky furball." "Redtail?" Firepaw echoed, thoroughly confused by all these names. Bluestar's deputy," hissed Graypaw. "But why on earth has Ravenpaw come back alone?" he added to himself. He lifted his head to listen as Bluestar stepped forward. "Ravenpaw?" The she-cat spoke calmly, but a look of worry clouded her blue eyes. The other cats drew back, curling their lips with anxiety. "What has happened?" Bluestar jumped onto the high rock and looked down at the trembling cat. "Speak, Ravenpaw." Ravenpaw was still struggling for breath, and his sides heaved fitfully while the dust around him turned red with blood. But still he managed to scramble up onto the high rock and stand beside Bluestar. He turned to the crowd of eager faces that surrounded him and summoned enough breath to declare, "Redtail is dead." Chapter 4. Shocked yowls arose from the clan cats and echoed through the forest. Ravenpaw staggered slightly. His right foreleg glistened, wet with blood that flowed from a deep gash in his shoulder. "We met 5 River Clan warriors beside the stream, not far from the Sunning Rocks," he went on shakily. "Oakheart was among them." "Oakheart," Greypaw gasped beside Firepaw. "He is the deputy of River Clan. He's one of the greatest warriors in the forest. Lucky Ravenpaw. Wish it could have been me. I'd have really—" Greypaw was silenced by a fierce glance from the old Grey Tom who had first sensed Ravenpaw's return. Firepaw turned his attention back to Ravenpaw. "Redtail warned Oakheart to keep his hunting parties out of ThunderClan territory. He said the next River Clan warrior to be caught in ThunderClan territory would be killed, but Oakheart would not back down. He said his clan had to be fed, whatever we threatened." Ravenpaw paused to wheeze for breath. His wound was still bleeding heavily, and he stood awkwardly to keep the weight off of his shoulder. "That's when the River Clan cats attacked. It was hard to see what was happening. The fight was vicious. I saw Oakheart had Redtail pinned to the ground, but then Redtail—" Suddenly Ravenpaw's eyes rolled in his head, and he lurched sideways. Half scrambling, half falling, he slithered off the high rock and collapsed on the ground below. A ginger queen bounded toward him and crouched at his side. She licked his cheek briefly and called out, "Spotted Leaf!" Out of the fern-shaded corner trotted the pretty tortoise-shell Firepaw had noticed sitting beside Greypaw earlier. She hurried over to Ravenpaw and mewed for the queen to stand back. Then she used her small pink nose to roll the apprentice over so that she could take a good look at the wound. She glanced up and meowed, "It's all right. Goldenflower, his wounds aren't fatal, but I'll need to fetch some cobwebs to stop the bleeding." As Spotted Leaf sprinted back to her den, the hushed silence in the clearing was broken by a mournful howl. All eyes turned to the direction it had come from. A massive, dark-brown tabby staggered through the gorse tunnel. Between his sharp teeth, the warrior held not prey, but the lifeless body of another cat. He dragged the tattered creature into the center of the clearing. Firepaw craned his neck and glimpsed the flash of bright ginger tail hanging limply in the dust. Shock rippled through the clan like a chill breeze. Beside Firepaw, Greypaw dropped into a crouch as grief swept over him. "Redtail." "How did this happen, Tigerclaw?" demanded Bluestar from her position on the high rock. Tigerclaw let the scruff of Redtail's neck fall from his mouth. He looked steadily back at Bluestar. "He died with honor, struck down by Oakheart. I couldn't save him, but I managed to take Oakheart's life while he was still gloating over his victory." Tigerclaw's voice was strong and deep. "Redtail's death was not in vain, for I doubt we'll see River Clan hunters in our territory again." Firepaw glanced at Greypaw. The apprentice's eyes were dark with sadness. After a moment's pause, several of the cats moved to lick Redtail's bedraggled fur. As they groomed, they purred hushed phrases to the dead warrior. Firepaw whispered into Greypaw's ear, "What are they doing?" Greypaw didn't take his eyes off of the dead cat as he replied, "His spirit may have left to join StarClan, but the clan will share tongues with Redtail one last time." "StarClan?" Firepaw echoed. "It's the tribe of heavenly warriors that watches over all clan cats. You can see them in Silverpelt." Firepaw looked confused, so Greypaw explained, "Our pelt is that thick band of stars you see each night stretching over the sky. Each star is a StarClan warrior. Redtail will be among them tonight." Firepaw nodded, and Greypaw stepped forward to share tongues with his dead deputy. Bluestar had remained silent while the first cats came down to pay their respects to Redtail. Now she leaped down from the high rock and walked slowly toward Redtail's body. The other cats retreated and watched as their leader crouched down to share tongues with her old comrade one last time. When she'd finished, she raised her head and spoke. Her voice was low and thick with grief, and the clan listened in silence. "Redtail was a brave warrior. His loyalty to ThunderClan could never be doubted. I always relied on his judgment, for it bore witness to the needs of the clan, and was never swayed by self-interest or pride. He would have made a fine leader." Then she lowered herself onto her belly, her head bowed, Her paws stretched neatly before her, and silently she grieved for her lost friend. Several other cats came and lay down beside her, their bowed heads and hunched backs echoing her mournful pose. Firepaw watched. He had not known Redtail, but he couldn't help feeling moved as he witnessed the clan mourn. Graypaw again. Dustpaw will be sad, he remarked. Dustpaw? Redtail's apprentice. That brown-striped tabby over there. I wonder who his new mentor will be. Firepaw glanced over at the small Tom who squatted near Redtail's body, staring unseeing at the ground. Firepaw looked past him to the clan leader. How long will Bluestar sit with him? He asked. Probably the whole night, replied Graypaw. Redtail was her deputy for many, many moons. She won't want to let him go too quickly. He was one of the best warriors. Not as big and powerful as Tigerclaw or Lionheart, but quick and clever. Firepaw looked at Tigerclaw, admiring the strength that swelled in his powerful muscles and broad head. His massive body showed signs of his warrior life. One of his ears was split into a deep V shape, and a thick scar sliced the bridge of his nose.